Hello, so I'm now in Manila Lotus Hotel. So this is where I booked myself for quarantine for 7 days. So why 7 days? So I just followed what the IATF has stipulated in the rules for non-OFW. So let me bring you back to the preparations that I did prior to my flight. So you need to consider first the country where you are coming from and the country where you are going to. So what are the rules in the country that where you're coming from, which in my case sa UK and Philippines kung asa ko padulong, kung saan ako papunta. Maybe I'll just speak in English and Tagalog kasi maraming nagtatanong. I receive a lot of private messages from the Filipino community page of UK where I am a part of. And I really appreciate those who have sent me messages to ask my experience. So I'm going to share it with you now, and I'm going to give you tips on what I think would be most helpful for you as you travel as well, just like what I did and what I learned when I did my travel. So first things first, the reason for your travel. If you're coming from England, so I'm saying England because rules in Scotland and in Northern Ireland is different in Wales and in England as well, in the United Kingdom. I'm going to speak about England only since I came from England, specifically in London. So in England, the rules says that you can actually travel even during the strict lockdown. You can travel for a number of reasons, and they have already placed all these reasons in the website, in the government website. The only thing is, the first thing that you need to do is to download the COVID form that is like a declaration form on why you are going to travel at this time. And also, once you downloaded it, you have an option. Sorry, I've got messages. You have an option to print it out or to save it in your phone, because they said there that you need to keep a copy with you, because the police can actually ask you in the airport if they want a copy of that. They would want you to show them, and so you need to ensure you've got battery. If not, then you need to print it out. So for me, I printed them as well, and I have made a screenshot. I save a screenshot of the form on my phone. Why screenshot? I will tell you later. No, I'm telling you now. Why screenshot? Because sometimes there are instances that my phone, I don't know with your phone, I get difficulty in accessing Wi-Fi. So I don't have a problem here in the United Kingdom since I've got my data for my phone if I need to turn it on or if there's no Wi-Fi. But in my mind, when I'm going to transit to another country, before I reach the Philippines, and when I reach there, I wouldn't have data because I did not subscribe for roaming because it's a bit expensive. So I wasn't sure whether I would be able to access for the Wi-Fi immediately when I arrive in the Philippines or in Bahrain. And should I need to access that data on my phone, then I would need a Wi-Fi connection, isn't it? So that's what I did. I did a screenshot, which really helped me. Screenshot of the COVID declaration form, and so in that form as well, it would stipulate why you are traveling for specific reason. And for my case, I'm traveling for compassionate reasons. That means they are also on the website as well. They have actually given recommended evidences of how you're going to prove that you are traveling due to your reason. So in my case, they have ask for, actually they have enumerated that you can actually show that the person that you're going to look after should be above 70 years old. That's one. Should have chronic illness or suffering from chronic illness that would really need medical attention. This is my understanding, yeah. I'm just thinking of what I can recall from the things that I've read in the government's website. Evidence of hospital admissions if they have been, and yeah, so things that you can show to prove your relation to the person, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you are directly related to the person. But for me, because it's my mom, so I used her birth certificate to show that she is above 70 years old, my birth certificate to show that I'm adopted by her. I'm joking. My birth certificate, my mom will kill me. I look like her. My birth certificate, and then I also had a copy of her recent blood tests and not blood tests, sorry, ultrasound and CT head when she was admitted recently. And on that impression, you know, on the result, it would say what sort of condition the person has when they've undergone the ultrasound or the CT, isn't it? And there would be a signature from a radiographer or a doctor. So in my end, I didn't have the chance to get a medical certificate directly from my mom's doctor, but it did not matter because I already have those results from those specific tests, and I have the copy of the hospital bills that like sort of to show that she had been really unwell during these past few months and I really need to go home. So I was expecting that when I arrive in Heathrow, I would be checked. Just, you know, it would be very strict. But to my surprise, no. The difference is that in Terminal 2 in Heathrow, visitors together with the passengers can actually go inside the airport itself during pre-COVID times, or last October I was there to fetch some nurses, but this time no, the visitors are not allowed. Only the passengers are allowed to go inside the terminal. And then to my surprise, oh my gosh, there's so many people inside. I mean, people are walking in and out. People are not doing social distancing, but at least I haven't seen anybody not wearing a mask. Okay, wearing a face shield is not a must in the United Kingdom, in Heathrow as well, but facial coverings is you should be wearing facial covering inside Heathrow. So many people are going in and out and walking about. So I don't know why, because you really just have to look. When you go in, you have a big board, isn't it? And you will look where your flight is, and it will say which till you should go to check in. So that easy. But maybe for some reason these people are walking around. Maybe just like me, I was looking for a weighing scale. So because I took the light fare, I was only allowed to bring one bag, check-in baggage, and one hand carry. So I've had a backpack with me and a small sling bag. My backpack, because I have laptop, I brought a laptop with me, and one check-in baggage. So I just checked, and I think I was over for my check-in baggage. So I took some and put it in my backpack, especially the chocolates that I brought with me. So yeah, when I arrived in the till I had Gulf Air. I booked from Gulf Air. So when I arrived in the till, since I already I did my check-in online a day before, so you can actually do a check-in, isn't it, a day before your flight. So I did that. The only thing she needed to do is to give me my boarding pass. So she asked for my passport. So as soon as she looked at my passport, she looked that I didn't have the how do you say, vignette, I don't know, or any visa. So she asked for my BRP, because So when she looked at my BRP, she then asked, do you have the COVID form? Can you please show it to me? So I took my folder. So in my folder, clear folder, I've already filed them, all of them. So it's so easy and convenient because I just had to take it out from the folder and showed it to her. She didn't have to collect it. She just needed to read and what was written there. She did not ask me for the evidences of my travel. She didn't ask me. I was expecting, but she didn't. But that was good anyway. And then she asked for my confirmation for my hotel booking. So this was the screenshot I told you about. So it was so easy. I could have printed it as well, but I didn't. But it was so easy. I just showed her the screenshot and she asked me why it's too long. So I explained to her that in the Philippines you needed to be 7 days. And then, you know what, I thought she was testing me because she said, oh, okay, so you know that you can't go ahead, you just need to stay in the quarantine hotel. Mind you, this is not the immigration officer yet. This is just the woman in the tail of Gulf Air. So for me, they are screening the passengers really well, and that is really good as well. And next she asked me is the SIF code, or the code that you need to register into PadLab Philippine, what was it? I had Philippine Airport Diagnostic Laboratory. So Philippine Airport Diagnostic Laboratory. I had to register this online. All of these websites are in the Bureau of Immigration websites, and they're really helpful. It's so easy. The steps are very clear. So on that stage, you have to put in your details, and it's basically they can trace you wherever you're going, and you have to put your details, and at the end you will be given a QR code. This code, I did a screenshot again. So this is what they were looking for. So three things, your COVID declaration form, your bookings for your hotel, and the QR code for the Philippine Airport Diagnostic Laboratory. So at this point, I didn't pay anything yet from the bookings, from the 4,000 that I need to pay for the swab. That is where the code is being needed. You know, when you show the code, you need to pay. So I'll tell you later which what step you need to pay. Then that's the time that she gave me the boarding pass, and I had to proceed to going into immigration, and that's it. Arriving in Ukraine, why did I say Ukraine? Bahrain. So they have a different rule for those who are going in Bahrain, really. So they had to fill up something. I'm sure it's a health declaration form for them, and yeah, so us who didn't need to, because we are just transient, okay, we were led I will show you some clips for the Bahrain. There was nobody. I mean, there are patients, there are passengers, but there was not a lot of passengers. So it was so smooth. It was a very smooth transition. I mean, transition. So we just went out from the plane and we went through another gate, and then we did another check for our hand carry baggage, and that's it. We just had to wait for an hour and a half, and so we then embark on the new plane going to Manila. Now I didn't mention it, but we are one seat apart inside the plane. You are supposed to wear your mask all the time. Only when you are eating or drinking, that's the time you are allowed to remove your mask. And since we are one seat apart, there was a lot of leg room. So it was all in all, I was really happy with the flight. Just before you arrive in Manila, they will give you two cards, okay? One is a health declaration card, that's the yellow colored card, and one is the immigration card. On the health declaration card, it just asks for certain information about you. Be ready of your pens. My goodness, I cannot emphasize this even please, because they are not allowing to borrow from one another. I mean, I think they will, but for you, you don't want to borrow from somebody else while they are doing something as well, isn't it? So so bring your pen, and then make sure that you know your flight number, because sometimes we can't find the rest of our tickets, so they're asking for your flight numbers and phone numbers. So very importantly, they want your phone number, not your phone number in UK, but they want your Philippine phone number. But then how can you have one when you haven't got a SIM card yet? I mean, for me, I haven't been home for 6 years. How can I have a phone number? So I place my sister's number, okay, my sister's number, knowing that if ever there would be anything sent to her, she would tell me, she would inform me. And I also told her ahead, because that was the same number I placed on the Philippine Airport Diagnostic Laboratory when I got my QR code. That's the same number I placed, okay? And when we arrived in Naiya, so this is what happened. The first just a few steps after you come out from the plane, you'd be met by, first there's like, they put a barricade, and then there are two lines. Then it's like this is where you will give your health declaration form. Health declaration form, they would ask you if you have underlying conditions, which with me I have. So I had to step out and then speak to the doctor, which was on site. It was so quick. So those who have underlying conditions, I was then asked, have I got any medications with me? What are those? And then they wrote it on my health declaration form, and they were the one who wrote it. You're not supposed to be the one to write. So you gave your health card, and they will interview you. So they will ask you, and they will write it down on your health card. There is no space for medication there initially, so you didn't have to write anything. But during the interview, they will ask you, and that's when they ask if you've got enough, and if you're going to, since I am settled not in the Philippines, have I got enough for the amount of stay that I'm gonna, I mean, for the duration of the stay that I am, for the duration of the stay, have I got enough tablets? And I said yes, and I also brought a prescription with me should I stay more than the amount of time I was planning to stay. Okay, so that you need to, if you have an underlying condition and you've got medications to take, please make sure that you bring with you an extra. I'll show you my, I'm sure you are aware of this, because hold on a second. Because for NHS, the white ones, this one, I'm just gonna cover my, yeah, this one, remember this? So this is what I showed them, but this is very quick, like 5 minutes only. They just wanted to make sure that you have got your medication with you, so that's why. And they didn't have to check if you physically have the medication. They were just asking, and I said yes, I have. And then next, after that till, the non-OFWs will be separated from the OFWs, and I will tell you why. Because from this moment on, you will go separately, different ways. Why? Because, so let's just identify first whether you're an OFW or not. I am not an OFW because I am not in the United Kingdom through a work visa anymore. I am on a different visa. So those who are OFWs are lucky because everything is free, from the swab test, which cost 4,000 pesos. Yes. And hotel accommodation free. And there, if you are going to forward to domestic flights, it's also free after 7 days. But all of this you should pay if you're a non-OFW. You are called a balikbayan or a returning Filipino, a foreigner, or if you've got a different nationality. I am still a Filipino, but I have a different visa. My question is, why am I paying and I'm still Filipino, right? It's not a question probably of the amount, but I'm just asking why. Char. It's just mind-boggling because I would understand if you're a foreigner, then okay. But I'm still Filipino. My nationality is still Filipino. It's just that my visa for staying in another country is different. It's not already a work visa. Okay? But anyway, alright, enough with drama. So, for the OFWs, they go to another gate. For the non-OFWs, we go to like a one-stop office. It's a big place on the left side of Terminal 1, just after the health declaration form. At this time, you need to fill out your affidavit of undertaking. This one you can already fill in prior to your travel. It's all in the website. Okay, I'll put it in the description box, all these forms. So I filled that in already. I took it out from my clear film and I was so happy. Good thing I did all these forms already because one, it was so hot. I mean, it was so warm. You know, when you come out from the plane for a very long time, it was air conditioned. It was probably still air conditioned in that place, but it was so warm. It's not about me maarte or anything. It was just something. And one thing as well, I've got my jacket with me, and I did not have the time to remove it. So that's one thing. And you know, you've got your backpack on, you are on a queue and everything. So good thing I filled those in. And the only thing I needed to do was to pay for the 4,000 pesos. And the very good thing about it is, which was my worry at the same time, is they accept debit and credit card. Oh my goodness, it was a game changer because at this part of the airport there was no exchange, what is that, foreign exchange till this. So you need to go so far. I mean, they needed to ask somebody else to change money because there was one foreigner who brought pounds with him and he didn't have any debit cards or credit card to use. So they had to ask somebody to exchange his money because he's not allowed to come out. I was so relieved because I also brought some cash with me, but in my mind, I already asked my bank prior to travel. I asked my bank, it's from Metro Bank in the United Kingdom, not the Metro Bank here. Baka naman Metro Bank. This is not sponsored anyway. Metro Bank was so nice. When I went there prior to my travel, I asked them, can I use my credit card and how much am I going to be paying if I use it per transaction? So they said it's 2.5% per transaction. I ran out of memory. So to continue, so I was able to pay the 4,000 pesos through my debit card and I paid for it. And then after that, they led me to another table, and this is when they gave me this, they asked me to fill this in. So this slip is, you need to copy the PADL. This is the code on your QR code, and then you've got your date, the date of the time, or the date that you arrived, your name, and then your contact number again. So I verified. So this is very important because this is where they will text you when they're ready to come and do your swab. They told me they're going to email me and they're going to text me on this number. So I told them, this is not my personal number, this is my sister's number. It's because I still don't have a SIM card. Okay, I don't know if you can buy a SIM card in United Kingdom for Philippines, so that you will have already a phone number when you go home. So I'm not sure about that, I don't know. So they said it's fine, it's okay, because you can then ask the person told me you can ask your sister to tell you when we are about to come to the hotel, or we will also email you. So I also double check with them my email address, so that you don't want to not receive these important informations. And then on this slip as well, there's a question: have you been vaccinated? And encircle yes or no. And then if yes, what brand? So I said yes, and Pfizer. They did not ask whether how many doses have I got. Okay, so they just asked verbally. They did not ask you to fill in here, but they asked me verbally how many doses have I got already. And then they told me, so I paid there, right? And they gave me these barcodes here. So this barcodes, they said, would be used by the person when that person arrives to do a swab with me on the sixth day of my arrival. So they told me you count day 1 as on the day you arrive. So that would be May 2nd is the day I arrive, and that would be day 1. So May 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. So on May 8th, that's the only time they will do my swab. So that's why you need 7 days to at least to book for your hotel, because it would take another 24 hours for the result to come back. So that's why it's 7 days.